Happy birthday, cuz. Happy birthday. What? Yo, wait a minute. Wait.
When it comes to hip-hop scandals, nothing has set the internet on fire like the leaked footage tied to Meek Mill and Diddy. This wasn't just another rumor about wild parties or backstage drama. This was something that looked like it could shake careers, reputations, and even expose some of the deepest secrets in the industry. What was supposed to be a celebration of Meek's 27th birthday turned into one of the most talked about events of his entire career, with people still dissecting every detail years later. It all started at the Parisian Palace in Las Vegas, the spot where Diddy decided to throw Meek a birthday party. On the surface, it was just Diddy being Diddy, flashy, over the top, and surrounded by money, power, and beautiful women. But according to people who were there, this wasn't a normal birthday party. The scene was described as a straight-up freak-off. Lingerie dancers everywhere, drugs being passed around like candy, and enough alcohol to drown the entire city. Folks said the house looked like chaos the next morning, trashed from wall to wall with disturbing evidence left behind. And that's where the whispers began. Rumors started swirling that cameras were rolling at the party, not just to capture the fun, but to record certain guests in compromising situations. People have been saying for years that Diddy's parties aren't really about celebration. They're about control. Invite the right people, get them loose with drinks, drugs, and women, and then catch them slipping on camera. Later, those tapes become leverage. Blackmail, insurance, whatever you want to call it, the strategy is the same. Once you've got footage of someone wilding out, you own them. And now fans are saying that's exactly what happened to Meek.
I'm at a point in my life like we all grew up in the streets and we try to be better, but they labeled us fellas, sent us back to jail. I had to fight against that the whole time.
Because soon after that Vegas party, audio allegedly leaked of Meek and Diddy together in a way nobody saw coming. The recording spread like wildfire online. Some swore it was 100% real, while others claimed it had to be fake. Meek immediately went into defense mode, calling it an AI-generated fake, one of those deep fakes designed to ruin his name. He even offered $100K for anyone who could track down who made it. But here's the thing, he never followed through. There was no investigation, no legal action, no receipts. To fans, that silence looked suspect. If it was really fake, why wouldn't Meek go harder to clear his name? And that's when Jaguar Wright jumped in, fanning the flames with her own bombshell claim. She accused Nicki Minaj of being behind the leak, saying Nicki paid off one of Diddy's bodyguards to let the recording slip. Think about that for a second. Nicki and Meek used to date, their breakup was messy, and since then, the two have thrown shade at each other nonstop. For Nicki to allegedly be the one pulling strings to embarrass Meek, that was the kind of messy plot twist that only made the story blow up even bigger. Nicki didn't outright confirm it, but she didn't deny it either. On her podcast, she dropped a cryptic line that had everybody talking. Y'all be surprised what kind of tea comes across my desk. Fans immediately tied that comment to the Meek-Diddy situation, saying Nicki basically admitted she knew about it. And once Nicki's name was tied in, the internet exploded. Blogs started reposting old clips, DJs were weighing in, and suddenly this wasn't just about Meek Mill anymore. It was about the entire culture of Diddy's infamous freak-off parties and the blackmail tapes people swear he's been collecting for decades.
Yo, Sal, what's up?
Yeah, y'all already know how we playing out this real life.
Real life.
Nigga, no Diddy gang, Meek Mill in real life. Don't ever disrespect me, you
Talk
heard?
that Meek. Yeah, Meek.
Once that so-called tape hit the internet, the story took on a life of its own. Blogs ran with it, YouTubers dissected every second, and fans flooded social media with memes and theories. Meek kept denying it, but the streets weren't convinced. That's when the loudest voice in rap commentary, DJ Academics, jumped into the mix. And he didn't hold back. Academics went live and started dragging Meek, pointing out how quick he was to dismiss the tape as AI. Ack said, every time a rumor pops up about Meek, he screams AI fake. How many AI fakes do you need before it looks real? He even tied Meek to the bigger storm surrounding Diddy's legal problems, hinting that the Philly rapper might have been one of the many caught slipping at those infamous parties. Coming from Ak, who has no problem clowning rappers for clicks, this only made the situation worse. His words gave the rumor new legs and made it impossible for Meek to shake off quietly. Then came the wild reaction from Justin Combs, Diddy's own son. Instead of defending his dad or shutting down the rumors, Justin got on social media and threw shade. He posted cryptic captions like, "Some things don't need explaining," and laughed it off with emojis. To the internet, that looked like confirmation. Like even Diddy's own blood was clowning Meek behind the scenes. When your alleged business partner's kid is laughing at you in public, it doesn't exactly help your case. Fans then dug up receipts, old clips, interviews, and moments between Meek and Diddy that suddenly looked way more suspect in hindsight. One video in particular resurfaced where Diddy, clearly drunk, called Meek daddy during a live session. At the time, people brushed it off as Diddy being extra, but with the Vegas party leak floating around, that clip went viral all over again. The memes wrote themselves, and the internet clowned Meek like never before.
You're saying that there's tapes and they're being shopped?
Yes, there have been people already shopping.
We've heard about the tapes, but
yes.
The shopping thing is
yes,
new.
there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood.
Even worse, the party stories kept piling up. Former assistants and insiders painted the Parisian Palace bash like a scene out of a movie. Wild behavior, drugs everywhere, rooms full of lingerie dancers, and a vibe that felt more like an initiation ritual than a birthday party. People said you couldn't even walk through the place without bumping into somebody caught in something freaky, and phones were locked away at the door to keep the secret safe. But in an era where leaks always find their way out, locking phones wasn't enough. Meek tried to clap back on social media, saying he was the victim of a smear campaign. He repeated that it was fake AI and even challenged people to prove otherwise. But the damage was already done. The internet doesn't care about receipts. Once a story goes viral, it becomes true in the court of public opinion. And since Meek never actually paid out that $100K reward he promised for finding the source of the tape, fans called his bluff. Instead of clearing his name, the whole thing made him look even more guilty. By now, the narrative wasn't just about Meek. It was about Diddy's entire empire of secrets. If Meek really was on one of those tapes, who else might be? Names like French Montana, Rick Ross, and even Drake got thrown around in fan theories. People started saying Diddy had an entire library of blackmail footage stacked up like insurance policies. And if the feds ever got their hands on those tapes, it could bring down half the industry.
Bruh, those people who was caught at Diddy's party did not know that he had 250 tape recorders in that house. That's a big house. But he had 250 tape recorders in that house.
If the story wasn't messy enough already, Jaguar Wright came back swinging with even more bombs. Jag has made a name for herself exposing secrets that most folks in the industry pray never see the light of day, and she zeroed in on this Meek Diddy drama like a hawk. According to her, that so-called leak wasn't just some random accident or a fake clip floating online. She said it was part of a much bigger play, one that lined up with everything people have been whispering about Diddy for years. Jag claimed that Diddy's entire empire is built on blackmail. The parties, the freak-offs, the all-night Vegas bashes, those weren't just for fun. She said they were carefully orchestrated traps. Lure rappers, athletes, actors, and execs into situations where they're intoxicated, vulnerable, and reckless. Then record everything. Once the footage exists, it becomes leverage. You don't want your secrets out? Then you stay loyal to Diddy. You sign that contract. You show up when he calls. You play the game. That's why Jag said Diddy's been untouchable for so long. Not because he's just powerful, but because he has dirt on everybody. And when it came to Meek, Jaguar pointed straight at Nicki Minaj. She said Nicki allegedly paid off one of Diddy's security guys to get that tape out. Remember, Nicki and Meek's breakup was ugly, and the two have been throwing shots at each other ever since. If Nicki really was behind the leak, that would explain why she seemed so calm when the rumors broke. She even hopped on her podcast and teased fans with lines like, "Y'all would be shocked at what kind of tea comes across my desk." Fans immediately tied that back to Meek, saying she basically confirmed she knew about the scandal before anyone else. Jaguar also said Nicki wanted revenge because Meek embarrassed her publicly during their split, making her look weak while she was trying to keep her queen image intact. Dropping a bomb like this, whether real or fake, would be the ultimate payback. And since Nicki is already locked in her own cold war with Cardi B, exposing Meek through Diddy's world just adds more fuel to her ongoing battles. The blackmail library theory grew legs fast. Bloggers claimed that Diddy has rooms full of tapes, some on hard drives, others allegedly stashed away overseas. Every time somebody falls out with him, fans bring up the same question: is there a tape? Even 50 Cent, who's been clowning Diddy for decades, has hinted that he knows way more about those freak-offs than he can legally say out loud. The streets believe it's only a matter of time before more footage leaks, and if Meek's was the first domino, others could fall soon. What makes it worse is that Diddy's already facing lawsuits and investigations tied to his behavior at those wild parties. Every new leak, every rumor, every testimony makes the case against him heavier. And if his empire crumbles under federal pressure, those tapes, if they exist, might end up in the wrong hands. That's why people think the Meek situation is just the tip of the iceberg. If the feds ever really get inside Diddy's archives, we're not just talking about embarrassing footage. We're talking about potential career-ending, life-destroying receipts on some of the biggest names in the game. For Meek, that's the nightmare. He's already drowning under the memes, the rumors, and the side-eye from fans who don't believe his AI defense. If another leak drops with clearer evidence, it could erase everything he's built since his comeback. The irony? The same man who once rapped about not bending, not folding might end up remembered for a tape he swears ain't real. At this point, the Meek Mill and Diddy scandal feels less like a one-off rumor and more like the start of a bigger storm. For Meek, the damage is already real. No matter how many times he says the tape was fake AI, the internet doesn't forget. Once a rumor goes viral, it sticks to your name forever. Every time Meek's trending now, you see fans dropping AI daddy jokes or reposting that old clip of Diddy calling him daddy. He could drop the hardest verse of his career, but the comments won't be about the bars. They'll be about the tape. That's how bad the branding of a scandal can get. And when you look at Meek's career, that's the sad part. He clawed his way back after the Drake beef, the prison sentence, and the industry turning its back on him. He rebuilt himself as a voice for prison reform, dropped hits like Championships, and seemed like he finally found stability. But scandals don't care about progress. One rumor can overshadow years of work, and this one has the potential to follow him for the rest of his career, especially because he never fully cleared it up. Offering $100K for proof and then going silent made fans think he was bluffing. In the streets, if you call somebody out, you better stand on it. And Meek didn't. For Diddy, though, the stakes are way higher. This ain't just gossip. This is evidence of a pattern. He's already dealing with lawsuits, with federal eyes on his empire, and with survivors coming forward about abuse at his freak-off parties. If Meek's leak is even a fraction real, then it confirms everything people have been saying about Diddy for years. The theory that he lures celebs into compromising situations, records them, and uses the footage as leverage suddenly doesn't sound like conspiracy. It sounds like business as usual. And here's the dangerous part. If one tape leaked, there could be more. People online already speculate that there's footage of rappers like French Montana, Rick Ross, and maybe even bigger names caught up in the madness. Jaguar Wright swears Diddy has an entire vault of tapes, hidden like insurance policies. If the feds ever seize those during an investigation, the fallout wouldn't just be one scandal. It could be the biggest mass exposure in hip-hop history. Careers would end overnight, alliances would crumble, and billion-dollar brands would collapse. That's why this story isn't going away anytime soon. Every little update, a cryptic post from Justin Combs, a shady comment from Nicki, academics stirring the pot, keeps the fire alive. The fans are waiting for the next shoe to drop, and if more footage surfaces, it's going to shake the industry in a way we've never seen before. As for Meek, his legacy is on the line. He can keep denying, he can drop more music, he can even try to sue. But once the internet puts a label on you, it's almost impossible to shake. And with Diddy's empire unraveling piece by piece, Meek's name being tied to his parties puts him right in the blast zone. So the real question becomes, is this just the beginning? Was the Meek tape a warning shot, a leak meant to rattle the industry? Or was it just one accident from a vault that's still full of unreleased bombs? Because if the rumors are true and Diddy's got blackmail on half the game, then Meek Mill won't be the last name caught in the crossfire. And when that vault opens, the world is going to see just how dirty the industry really is.